I don't want to take a $400 flight the guy I'm dating paid for me to go visit him, because he's leaving me by myself on New York. Met a guy online. We hit it off real well. We realized we shared similar goals, so we are interested in seeing if there's further compatibility in person. I didn't know how to refer to him, so I just typed the guy I'm dating, but we're not in a committed relationship, even though we both don't talk to anyone else romantically per our own decision. We were arranging when to meet in person. Since he lives in a state I never visited, and he exclaimed that he didn't have plans for NYE more than having to work, I thought it would be a fun idea to visit his city during that week, and stay at a hotel. On December 16th, I asked him 3 times if he was sure he was okay with the specific days, December 26th through January 2nd. I even suggested we hang out another week that's not a holiday, but he was solid that the dates were fine, and he specifically told me I work Friday 31st and Saturday 1st, so I will spend the night after work with you on those days. Fair enough to me, I could get to know the city while he was at work. He even bought me the $400 plane tickets right away. I was paying for the hotel we were gonna stay at during the week. We continued talking as normal. We didn't have a specific plan for New York, but we figured we'd be able to tell once we were settled at the hotel. Fast forward to today, 23rd, he casually mentions that he forgot that he had plans with his closest friends and their kids, so that he was going to be gone for a couple of hours on the 31st, starting at 8:09 p.m. He also stated that as he worked the 1st, he wasn't gonna go out or drink, and that he wanted to be in bed before 12. So, if he leaves to be there at 9, spends 2 hours and comes back to the hotel at 11 to get ready to sleep, would be pretty in my opinion. He didn't invite me to tag along with his friends. I told him that I could be introduced as a friend, that we wouldn't have to reveal what was going on between us, since we were trying to figure it out ourselves, but that I didn't want to spend the NYE night on a city I don't know by myself. I wasn't there to claim space as his girlfriend or anything alike, I just wanted to meet people and have fun. Also, I was counting on the plans as per our initial talk. He waits in that he'll be available all of the other days of my stay for me, and that he understands where I'm coming from and he'd feel terrible if I had to spend the night alone. Still, he thinks that the fact he'll be with me the rest of the days is motive enough as for me to fly there. I understand that his friends are important, but then, his words towards me mean nothing? I don't know what to do. The flight can't be cancelled as far as I'm aware. He offered to buy it, and I was fine with it since I'd be spending more money for our stay, but now I don't feel like going. What should I do? A guy is paying for me to visit him the week of NYE, but he exchanged our plans for hanging out with his friends that night, leaving me alone in a city I don't know, smoking, claiming that me going is worth it because we'll be together the rest of the days. Now for the top comments. I wouldn't go. You don't know this guy, but right now he is showing you what he's like. He's inconsiderate, doesn't respect you, your time, or your feelings, and just wants you to be available to him when he feels like it, and oh, I feel so bad, babe, when it doesn't work for you, but he won't actually do anything to make it better. There's a few possibilities here. He may have a wife or a GF that you don't know about, and he wanted you to come see him in secret, so he lied to you to convince you to come. Now that the flight is paid for and hotels are booked and he knows you're less likely to bail, he's suddenly got last-minute plans he forgot about. He is either a cheater and his wife's flight got cancelled and now he's scrambling, or he's absolutely terrible at planning and managing his time and money, because why pay for a flight for someone you've never met unless you know for sure you'll be free while they're visiting? Either way, these are him problems, not you problems. You do not owe him a thing. Cancel the hotels and get your refund ASAP. Don't send him any money for any reason. Don't let him guilt you into paying him back for the flight. Don't listen to any excuses he makes. He promised you he would be free to see you for your visit, and he broke his promise. That's all you owe him as far as an explanation. He's showing you that he is flaky and unreliable. Believe him. Next comment. The fact that he paid for a flight doesn't obligate you to go. Especially if he's reneging on plans already made. Double especially when the plans are on New Year's Eve when no one wants to be alone. He thinks you should just be fine with that. Girl, no. Any guy who thinks it's fine to treat you like this is just setting you up for a future full of disappointment. Don't go. If later on he wants to meet you, he can come to you to make up for it, and he better prove up and down how much he values you with actions. Next comment. I once flew out for a few days to a new city to spend time with a guy I was casually seeing. We knew each other, which is different than your situation. But my gut said to stay home, and I didn't. I pushed through because I thought it might be awkward if I canceled or didn't go. I regret going. It's been years and I actively regret it. Don't go. If he is that upset, he can come visit you. Edit, why I regret it. It's pretty simple. I realized if he had really wanted me there, he would have shown it. I put myself in his shoes. If someone I was romantically into wanted to visit me, and we had plans nailed down, like a plane ticket, I wouldn't stop talking about it. I would be eager to show them my hangouts, all my favorite restaurants, etc. The fact he wasn't vocally excited beforehand should have been enough to signal he wasn't that invested in my trip. It was clear when I got there that our investment in the trip wasn't equal. And I don't mean financially, although that too, I mean emotionally. So it was uncomfortable, and I felt like I was intruding on time he'd otherwise enjoy doing something else. I just felt like a burden the whole time. Next comment. It's pretty simple. I realized if he had really wanted me there, he would have shown it. I put myself in his shoes. If someone I was romantically into wanted to visit me, and we had plans nailed down, like a plane ticket, I wouldn't stop talking about it. I would be eager to show them my hangouts, all my favorite restaurants, etc. The fact he wasn't vocally excited beforehand should have been enough to signal he wasn't that invested in my trip. It was clear when I got there that our investment in the trip wasn't equal. And I don't mean financially, although that too, I mean emotionally. So it was uncomfortable, and I felt like I was intruding on time he'd otherwise enjoy doing something else. I just felt like a burden the whole time. Next comment. Just don't go. I traveled 11 driving hours to see a guy who I had already met in person a couple years prior, and we had continued talking off and on, pretty much when either of us weren't dating someone local. It was his idea, and he had been asking me to come visit him for a couple years. I finally said, F it, let's do this. It was also a holiday, so I had extra time off work. I had a gut feeling 2 days prior to leaving to not go. I brushed it off though because there was no obvious reasoning for it, thought it was just my nerves. First night goes great, we go to dinner, play games, hang out, his closest friends. We all get along great and have fun. Next day he wakes up and goes to work for a bit and comes right back after work. But says he has a short work meeting later that evening. So he goes and is gone forever. And ever. We were supposed to go to the hot springs about 8 p.m. He finally texts about 10 p.m. and he doesn't want to be this guy, but his ex is in a pickle, and he needs to go help her, blah blah blah. Never saw him again or heard from him again while there, so I left early. He finally texted me while I was driving home, and says he swears it's not what it looks like, and he will explain if I'll call him. I said no thank you and just went about my way. These days I'm the person who does not want to hear anyone's BS. If you do me dirty, that's a reflection of you, and not me, so please take that energy elsewhere. I won't spend another ounce of my energy on that situation. One of his friends I had met, we clicked instantly, messaged me on Instagram and says one of the girls told his ex that he had another girl and she basically got jealous, fabricated a story and got him over to her place. She was messaging me to let me know if I needed a place to go I was welcome there, and she felt bad about what he did. She was very sweet. He ended up back together his ex and dated another 8 months before breaking up again. LOL, what a mess. You owe him nothing, and with COV stuff he will be able to just cancel the flight and get his money back anyway. More than likely, airlines differ. I hope you have a great NYE doing something much better than wasting your time and energy. Next comment. What an interesting post. The stories never fail to amaze me. Welp, you put a lot of chips on the table with an ace-king in your hand, and now 5 cards later you are sitting here with an ace-high. First of all, the flight itself may not freaking happen, so there's is that. But even forgetting that it's NYE, around which you have expectations, and he has work and he apparently has other commitments, spending a week in a hotel with someone you've never met? This is pretty bold move and one that has 10 ways to go wrong and pretty much only one way it can go well. Your move? Unless you are pretty desperate for a shag, but come on, you're literate and a woman with an internet. You can get laid pretty much whenever you want if you're not too picky, or think this is your soul mate. Change the dates of your trip and visit for a shorter time when there's less pressure, and less work and less chance of a cancelled flight, and less chance of catching COVID, and giving it to others. I mean, even if everything was angling to be perfect, it might still an odd choice to get on a place to travel to an urban area for 5 days at this moment in time. If he actually wants to see you, he'll jump at the chance to downsize this whole thing but still meet you. If he complains, he's probably only desperate for a lay and not that into you anyway. If he says forget it, then he's not that into you anyway. Blame it on COVID or cancelled flights if you have to, but I think you're nuts to get on that plane. Next comment. I don't really get this anyway. If he told you he worked on NYE, and the next morning, it's not like you would have had any extensive plans with him that night. And to throw the whole trip out the window just for that seems rash, but hey, you guys aren't even in a relationship, so it's really just up to you if you could see a future with him. Like if I was in his shoes, I'd come home from work, maybe have a celebratory drink, and go to bed before midnight anyway. You didn't plan anything yourself yet for that night between the two of you. On top of that, you have 2 to 4 days with him not at work, and 2 days to explore the city by the sounds of things, so you canceling the whole trip BC of 2 to 3 hours is mad. On top of it all, you said you wanted to come to the city to meet people and have fun. If him being gone for 2 hours of a week is really that bothersome, best bet would be to pay him back for the ticket and do whatever you please while you're in the city. Next comment. I mean, didn't he pay for it? If it means a couple hours alone because a busy man has to attend to plans, I wouldn't expect him to commit as heavily over other personal relationships he has. Would this guy worth a 2-hour wait if fate had it you'd get married in the far future? Sure, might seem like it. A couple hours might be worth it in the long run, especially for something as big as this. But he could be a selfish asshole for all I know. It could be worth it, especially with free transportation. A date wouldn't hurt. Next comment. Hey, that doesn't really work for me. I was coming into town specifically to spend time with you, especially on NYE. If you have prior plans, I understand, but then I'd rather not visit then. I have things I can do here instead. Frankly, he's full of it. I don't have any friends, male or female, that wouldn't tell their buddies that they have someone coming to visit and can't make the party. I don't believe he's spending time with his friends and their kids. Friends will understand, the whole thing sounds like he's trying to wrangle you and another woman. He's intended to have you stay in a hotel while he does other things, and then spend some time hooking up. Next comment. People show you who they are, and who you are to them, through their actions, not words. He is inconsiderate or doesn't care about you. Likely both. If a girl I was interested in were coming to visit me, I'd move heaven and earth to clear my schedule. It's possible he couldn't get someone to work for him those 2 days. I certainly wouldn't have booked in with a friend. My friend would understand, this lady I'm really interested is coming to see me, let's reschedule. Cut him off, it won't get better. Actions tell the story, don't get lulled by the words. Next comment. I spent $600 on a trip to Mexico for 12 days to see a lover again. I visited him in October and things were fine. He also moved around his work to make time for me. He started acting distant 2 weeks before my trip. After probing, I found out he had just started dating someone. Since our October trip, he has kept pressuring me to move in with him, be with him, and leave my BF. I'm in an open relationship. I thought he was fine with an open relationship, but I guess he was searching for wifey. I guess it sunk in that I wasn't going to be convinced by him to switch to monogamy for him, and he found someone else. He still tried to convince me to come. And I heavily debated it. Even took his word that he would still have all attention on me even though he'd be trying to maintain what he had started with this new girl who didn't know about me. But then he started injecting doubt, and I didn't want to go to Mexico and not enjoy myself, so I bit the bullet and canceled everything. My point, if you know in your gut you won't enjoy yourself, then don't go. You will be better off. Next comment. So, he understands and agrees the position he put you in, But has he told you the real reason why he didn't invite you? Yeah, he's trying to rationalize it by the fact that he's spending all of the other time with you, but that doesn't explain why he didn't invite you. Is another romantic interest of his going to be there? Are his friends a bunch of misogynistic assholes who would treat you badly? Is he just a coward? There might be some explanation you could understand and be okay with, like it's a group of close childhood friends who lost a member of the group on NYE some years back, and it's a tradition for the original group to get together on that day for a couple of hours to remember the late friend, and have a toast with just the original group. But honestly, if I were one of his friends and I learned he was ditching you, a new romantic interest, for a few of hours on NYE, I would verbally smack him upside the head and tell him he's being a huge idiot by not spending that time with you or at least bringing you along.